Hello and welcome to this week in F1. This week in Formula One, I'm your host Reese Jansen, and today we're looking at race number 3, the Japanese Grand Prix. A few things before we start off talking about the results and what happened. There's a few things we need to know. First things first, the biggest news, the biggest thing that started this whole thing is the whole Red Bull switch with Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson changing seats, with Lawson going back to Racing Bulls and Tsunoda moving to Red Bull. Now, that was a very upsetting thing, very weird thing. Lawson, after 2 races, basically been thrown out. So the biggest thing heading into the race really was, where was Yuki going to finish and where was Lawson going to finish? Is it the car? Is it the driver? What's going on? That was the big question. And of course, during qualifying practices, Yuki did a similarly semi-better job, but bear in mind this was his worst qualifier since driving. Of course, he usually qualifies ahead of his racing driver, but his racing driver partner is Max Verstappen, the legend, the man with the skills. Now, and of course, another interesting fact or another interesting thing that happened after the race, after our last episode, was that Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc were disqualified after their positions last weekend for various reasons I've decided not to get into. But that was the interesting thing. And of course, the big talk of the town will always be Kimi Antonelli, the rookie of this season. The kid is doing well, brilliant. So how was he going to do in Japan? That was the question on my lips, the question probably on our lips. And the question was going to be, the races, Australia, Norris won it. China, Piastri won it. Who was going to win in Japan? Bear in mind, Max was taking pole position in both of those races. Now, race 3, where was Max going to finish? A lot of things have to be in your mind when you look at this. Japan, it's obviously going to be about Yuki. It's his home race. So how was Yuki going to finish? Where is he going to finish? And also another thing, it's the last race with Red Bull using a Honda engine in Japan. That means next season, when they return to Japan, they will be using their own engine, of course, in partnership with Ford. Now, if Red Bull are going to be using a new engine, will it be as decent as the Honda engine? That's a question for another day. That's a question we'll probably need to answer next season. But right now, the question before the race was, where was Max going to finish? Was he going to be following or trailing behind the McLarens? Because they are having a phenomenal season. They've figured out a way. They did have a phenomenal season last season as well. And this season they started strong with 1 and 2 finishes. Both drivers actually winning a race this season, which is great. Of course, Lando Norris being on top of racing. And of course, you also have to notice that because McLaren are finishing first and second with these 2 races, that would mean they're still in pole position for the Construction Cup. And of course, Norris leading. So when we get into Suzuka, the question now is, where is going to finish? Will Hamilton and Leclerc redeem themselves? Where will Kimi Antonelli finish? Any of the rookies getting points? Tsunoda getting points? Will he finish ahead of Lawson? Because that would be the biggest upset. If Red Bull changed for Lawson with Tsunoda and Lawson ends up finishing ahead of Lawson, that would have been a big issue to talk about. Then, of course, you also have to look at the point that Red Bull were offered this season, I think, 10 million to give the seat to Yuki by Honda, and they refused it. And then towards the end, after 2 races, they do that. I don't know if they got the money or not. I'm not entirely sure about that. So the race is on. Bear in mind, Carlos Sainz not doing well since moving to Williams. Alonso also not doing well, finishing last race in that Aston Martin. So A lot of drivers are not driving well, but Berman in the Haas he's been pretty a decent driver in my opinion. But now let's get into the action of the Japanese Grand Prix. What happened? What happened? Great thing is there was no safety car this time around. During the practice and the qualifiers, there's a lot of safety cars based on fire on side of the tracks by the grass, mostly caused by skid marks when the cars pass by with enormous speed. So a betting man would have assumed there would be another safety car sometime around because of these fires, but that did not happen today. In fact, all drivers finished the race. From start to finish, nobody dropped off. So that was interesting in my personal opinion. And of course, the points, who got the points? I'm going to start off with 10th place. Berman got the 10th spot in that Haas. Albion got 9th in that Williams car. Hajar, interestingly enough, Hajar finished 8th in that Red Bull Racing car, which means where is Yuki Tsunoda? Where is Lawson? Are they above him? Of course, if you watch the race, you know that they are not above him. And then, of course, in the 7th place, number 44, Lewis Hamilton in that Ferrari. Of course, there was a time he started the race in the hard tires. Most drivers started the race in medium tires. At a point, I thought he was going to win, maybe pull it towards the end and not change tires, but he had to change tires because he was losing a bit of traction. So when he changed tires to the soft ones, he changed to the mediums, right? He changed to the medium ones. Yeah, he couldn't stay up there. But it's interestingly enough, the top 6 spots remain as they started in the qualifiers. That's right. Antonelli, of course, being the first youngest driver to ever lead a Grand Prix race. He led for like 5 or 6 laps, if I'm not mistaken, because he was one of the last people in the top 6 to pit. So when he was on top, he was really looking really good. He even has the fastest lap of the race today. So congratulations to to Antonelli, rather. Congratulations to Antonelli for finishing 6th in that Mercedes. And of course, his senior driver, George Russell, finished 5th. And of course, Charles Leclerc in that Ferrari number 16, finishing 4th. And of course, the McLarens, Oscar Piastri finishing 3rd. And of course, the race leader, the championship leader, Lando Norris in the McLaren number 4, finishing 2nd. And of course, the man of the hour, Max Verstappen, winning 4 consecutive races in Suzuka, becoming the first driver ever to win 4 races in a row in Japan, beating Michael Schumacher's record of 3. Now, my man has 4 consecutive races in Suzuka. And it's a very nice way to say goodbye to Honda, finishing first, getting them pole position in their engine, in their city, in their country. Very lovely stuff by the man from the Netherlands, Max Verstappen. Now, of course, the question now becomes, Verstappen started in pole position, finished the race in pole position, basically taking podium, becoming the best driver at. This shows why he is the number 1 driver. But of course, the issue will always be Red Bull next season are using their own engine. Will it be as good or worse than the current engine they're using? Bear in mind, Max has been struggling with the Red Bull car. The engine, brakes, and all sorts of things with the car has been having issues. But becoming a great driver, bear in mind, in Suzuka, it's not really about the car, it's about the driver. It's one of those complicated tracks, and Verstappen just shows why he is brilliant and why he is the best of the best. Now, him finishing first means a great deal. Where does that lead in terms of where will he finish come the end of the race? Bear in mind, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is like race 3. So there's still a lot to go. Of course, bear in mind, Suzuka had about 53 laps, and all laps were taken. No issues. Anyway, let's talk about the bottom positions. Remember, I just talked about the top 10 spots. Now let's talk about number 11th, Alonso, finishing 11th in that Aston Martin. He did pick up a lot of steam during the race. After the pitting and all that, he was far. I think he was 16th, and he just moved up and got to that 11th position. Unfortunately, he just couldn't get past rookie Berman. But of course, Gasly finished 13th, with Yuki finishing 12th. I think a lot of pressure was on Yuki. Where would he finish? How would he perform? Home race, home. Worst finish? I don't know. Last time Yuki finished 16th when in China. So, of course, when he finished 16th in China, he qualified at 9th. But now he finished 12th. Which is better considering Lawson has been finishing in the bottom, the last fifth, bottom 15. He's been finishing there. He's been finishing 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and even 20th. So he's been struggling. But I don't know if this is an improvement. This is worth applause. I don't know. But he still didn't get points. Two spots behind the points. That will hurt Red Bull in the Construction Cup. But I don't know. Maybe Yuki will do a decent job. But he didn't do anything worthy of mentioning that was like, wow, Yuki. Of course, he did win driver of the day. He did. Basically, he qualified in 14th, finished 12th, passing 2 drivers. I don't know if he won driver of the day because he's in Japan. For me, I will always give it to Antonelli, man. This kid is just amazing. Which goes to show Toto is a genius, man. He's a genius. I mean, like, losing Hamilton and then getting this kid to do that. And then the question now becomes, Christian, what is Christian doing with the Red Bulls? Is it something that he needs to fix with the Red Bull? Or is it a car issue? Does Yuki need to sit down with the Red Bull team the same way Max does and then tell them how to construct the car so he can finish better? I don't know. As I said, Gasly finished 13th. Carlos Sainz finished 14th in that Williams. It's very tricky with him because he was finishing top 10 always in Ferrari, but now he's struggling. He's really struggling to get into that top 10 spot to get a point. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. And of course, Dohan finished 15th in that Alpine. And of course, Hulkenberg finishing 16th in the future Audi car kick vehicle. Of course, next season they'll be called Audi, but right now they just call kick. And of course, the man of the hour. The man who was dropped. The man who was shunned. I don't know if this is going to hurt his confidence or not. Being dropped is not bad. But while watching the race, he was ahead of Yuki most of the time until he went to pit. I thought it would have been a great confidence booster for him to finish ahead of Yuki, just to show that it's not me, it's the car. But the fact that he's finished where he usually finishes while he was in the Red Bull is quite concerning. But first race, he's probably getting accustomed to the car. We'll see what happens as the races continue. And of course, in 18th, Ocon in that Haas number 31. And of course, I'm always struggling reading this guy's name. Bortoleto, the Brazilian, finishing 9th. And of course, Mr. Silver Spoon in his mouth, the guy who's driving his daddy's car, Stroll, finishing last. Oh, man, he was having a horrible time during that race. I didn't see him doing anything impressive. He just had a horrible weekend. And of course, next week, or next time out, that is Sunday, 13th April, Bahrain International Circuit. That is where we will be going. Should be interesting how things get done. Yes. Well, I don't know what more I should be saying. I think I covered everything, really. I covered everything. I think the only thing left I should cover is point. Where is everybody on point? That is the thing I think I should be covering right now. Just give me a sec while I look. Hopefully the official website has everything done, because I've been popping things off my head now. That's done, and I don't like the delay. I think I should have done this earlier. This just shows how pathetic I am. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if these points are accurate in terms of they cover all the races. Let me see something here real quick. Hamilton to put 50. No, something is off here. What I have here is Norris on 62 points. I'm questioning it because something seems off. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Let me check this real quick. Okay, seems like those points are actually accurate. They are accurate. Okay. Current points at this moment. Lando Norris leads with 62 points. He's a point ahead of Max Verstappen, who has 61. Oscar Piastri has 49 points. He's 13 points behind the league leader. And of course, George Russell, 45 points, 17 points behind. Kimi Antonelli, 30 points. I'm really impressed by Kimi. I'm really impressed. If I had the powers at be, I would say he's going to be driver of the season. I don't care who wins it. I mean, like, to be a rookie, to be in the top 5 in the championship race is pretty impressive by me. He's beating Hamilton. He's beating Leclerc. He's beating Albon. He's beating Stroll. He's beating Alonso. He's beating Sainz. He's beating Kimi. He's beating players, runners, racers who've been doing this for a long time. That is what I'm impressed. I don't know if I should be saying the Mercedes car is brilliant. Maybe it just needed Hamilton. But thank God for Hamilton for leaving. We may have not been seeing this brilliant kid earlier. Anyway, 6th place, Charles Leclerc with 20 points. 42 points behind the league leader. And of course, Alexander Albon, 18 points, 44 points behind the league leader or the driver leader. I don't know how to put this words. And of course, Hamilton, 15 points. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And of course, Esteban Ocon, 10 points, 52 points behind the league leader. And of course, Stroll and Ocon are tied with 10 points each, which means they are 52 points behind the race leader. And of course, Hülkenberg, 6 points, 56 points behind the race leader. Oliver Burman has 5 points. Isaac Hadjar has 4. Yuki Tsunoda has 3, which questions Mr. Tsunoda. How do you have 3 points less than Hadjar? I mean, like, a point less than Hadjar. When you are the senior racing driver, you've moved to a better car, to a better team. You got nothing this weekend. You need to have a conversation. And of course, the last point being taken by Carlos Sainz with 15th spot. He is behind the race leader with 61 points. And of course, 0 points this season. Bear in mind, it's nothing to stress about. They'll probably put points down the board because it's race number 3. Pierre Gasly, 0. Fernando Alonso, rather. I don't know why I'm saying Fernando Alonso, 17th place, 0. Liam Lawson, 0. Jack Hoddohan, 0. And Gabriel Bortoleto, 0. That's 20 races so far, with over 565 points remaining. So that's a lot of points up for grabs. How they're going to be distributed remains to be the question. And of course, in the Construction Championship standings this season, McLaren with 111 points. Mercedes-Benz with 75. But we really need to talk about this. Red Bull, bear in mind, no Red Bull driver has put points on the board besides Verstappen. And he's third somehow. Which begs the question, what the fuck is Ferrari doing? What are you guys doing? You guys have 2 races. Who finished top 10th in 3 races? But somehow, Verstappen has more points than you. Absolutely joke. You have to be aware that this is after 3 races, fam. And 2 of your drivers put points on the board every race out of those 3 races. But somehow, Red Bull are ahead of you? What the fuck is Ferrari doing? Granted, they were disqualified last race. Yes, disqualifications led to them dropping where they are. They probably would have been ahead. That is fact. But it's Ferrari's own mistake, the own engineer's mistake that put them in this position. So they really need to have a conversation with themselves. Of course, Red Bull having 61 points, all courtesy of Verstappen. 4th place, Ferrari with 35. Williams 19th. Haas with 15th. Aston Martin with 10th. Racing Bulls with 7. And Kick Sauber with 6. And of course, Alpine is the only team to not register a point this season. They are 111 points behind league leaders. Of course, remaining points that are available as it stands is 978 points. That's 3 races out of 24. And of course, next season we'll have an 11th team, the Cadillac. So it'll be interesting how this things. And of course, anything could happen. 3 races in, a lot of points up for grabs. Drivers' Championship, 565 points up for grabs. Construction Cup, 978 points up for grabs. 3 races, anything is possible. We'll see what happens. We don't know. Anyway, this has been my review or my talk, my opinion on race number 3. Race numero 3. My mind went blank for some reason. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to hit that like and sub button depending on where you're listening or watching. This has been your boy Reese Chanson, and this has been This Week in F1.